Hello everybody, just a quick update on the channel. As you might have noticed, the channel's been undergoing some renovations, to put it lightly. Not only have I removed my socials from my bios and my channel, but I've also decided to stop recommending you follow them, because I've realized that it really doesn't help me all that much, performance-wise or otherwise. There's really no real purpose in doing that. Other thing is that it seems to be hurting my performance on YouTube, and lastly, I've noticed that the people who on my social medias don't really care, and that I've only been getting attention from you guys. But today, we're going to be looking at another top 5. Since it's been a while since I did one of these, and it's been a while since I uploaded anything, today we're going to be looking at some of the most underrated retro or older FPS titles that I've seen that I think deserve more attention and more respect for what they did for the genre as a whole and what they offer to players. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Starting off with number 5, we have Day of Defeat Source. Now, a lot of you may not have heard of this game, but for those who aren't aware, this game was basically a World War II knockoff of Counter-Strike, and was also a Half-Life mod. This game initially was positively viewed, but it really left a lot to be desired, and didn't really leave much of an impact on the genre. However, Valve did port it to the Source engine from the Gold Source engine where it was originally created, and it became more well-known, as well as more playable due to the graphical improvements of the engine. However, this was short-lived, and as the years went by, no one really seemed to remember it. And to be honest, it's understandable why, given that it is again a World War II clone of Counter-Strike, another Half-Life mod. There is one corner, though, of this game's fandom, what little there is left of it, rather, that deserves to be acknowledged. That is the gun game servers. Well, the one gun game server, because there's only one. However, for some reason, the gun game concept seems to work really well with the arsenal World War II weapons were given in the game, starting with machine guns, moving up to carbines, then rifles, assault rifles, light machine guns, and rocket launchers, then ending in pistols, grenades, and knives. As weird as this layout seems, it gives the game a particular flow and creates a crescendo of difficulty that tests the player's skills, and actually makes you struggle in order to reach the top. So while it's not the best game ever, it certainly is underrated and is worth a try if you're willing to cough up $5 for a lesser known World War II game. Number 4, Quake. Now with Quake, we have a game that is a lot more well known than its predecessor and has a ton of traction on YouTube. However, one thing I don't see often talked about with Quake is how its weapon system alters its gameplay, and in many ways takes the traditional weapon structure and hierarchy of older and even newer FPS games and mixes it around entirely. You see, rather than having a typical ascension of a sidearm to a main weapon, then another main weapon, followed by a heavy weapon and another heavy weapon and a special weapon, such as we see in Doom, or even having a modern arsenal which centers around a variety of main weapons, Quake starts out by giving the player a shotgun rather than a handgun, and each ascending category of weapons, which increases in power, has 2 types of weapon per category, aside from the last one. You start off with a shotgun, and then later get upgraded to a double shotgun, then followed by 2 varieties of automatic weapons, such as a nail gun and a super nail gun, then followed by a grenade launcher, rocket launcher, and then ending with the Thunderbolt, which is a gun that shoots a long-range bolt of lightning. This is interesting because the game, rather than simply focusing on the weapon strength or around using one of a variety of main weapons, gives you 2 types of weapon per type, aside from the Thunderbolt, which is the only weapon which doesn't have a more powerful variety, due to the chain lightning gun being scrapped during development. The reason this seems to work so well is not only the novelty of these kinds of weapons, but the skill required to cycle through and decide what weapons to use against the enemies, instead of just relying on one weapon. This, combined with Quake's physics and the inventions of things like rocket jumping, makes Quake a very revolutionary game, and one that I want to see more talked about when talking about the history of gaming. Number 3, Portal. Now, the main thing Portal is remembered for is an interesting story and concept with regards to the game's only weapon, the portal gun. However, I don't think a lot of people really truly grasp how this simple detail changed the game entirely and altered the gameplay compared to the rest of the FPS and even platforming genre. The portal gun to the uninitiated, or for those who haven't played the game in forever, might seem like a get out of jail free card, since you can just connect two portals and walk through one entrance to get to the other side. But in application, the devs apparently knew what they were doing when it comes to stumping the player, despite the obvious advantage one has with this weapon. The amazing thing is that it somehow manages to blend FPS, platforming, and sci-fi in the most perfect way I have ever seen in gaming history. And it doesn't hurt to have an interesting story either. Number 2. The original Half-Life. Now, Half-Life is generally well remembered and acknowledged as the predecessor to various popular games such as Counter-Strike, Portal, like I mentioned earlier, and even Gary's Mod, to name a few. One thing I think a lot of people seem to fail to remember, however, is how revolutionary it was for storytelling in the FPS genre. Half-Life was one of the first games to use gameplay events as a way to convey the story to the player, as opposed to just cutscenes or walls of text. This is important because it allows the player to get more of the story without having to be told what is happening or having to dig through every trailer, promo, or god forbid YouTube analysis, and it allows for the story to feel natural. And those who don't care about the story, they don't have to care. And because of this, I believe it deserves more appreciation than it really gets. And finally, number 1, we have the original Doom. Now, Doom might seem like a total stranger to be on this list, but not only did it birth the modern FPS genre as we know it, but it's also been remade and parodied countless times. Hell, before the term first-person shooter even exists, the term used to describe any game with the gun as the center of the screen was Doom clone, until around 1996. So you might be wondering why it is even on the list to begin with. Well, there is one thing that it isn't remembered by most for, aside from hardcore fans, and that is its modding capability. The thing here is that not only are most of the essential modding tools for the game completely free, as well as the game being relatively cheap, and even free if you obtain a copy of GZ Doom, but because you can obtain the dev tools like GZ Doom Builder and Slade for free, you can create your own Doom levels for free on top of the base game, which is a huge win for Doom fans and future game devs alike. It also opens the door for an endless slew of mods that will come from the availability of these tools. So Doom, in an odd twist of fate, has found its way to the top of the list. Again. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video and want to see more of this type of content, please be sure to leave a like, and if you like the type of content that I do, consider subscribing to my channel and turning on notifications so that you're notified when new videos are uploaded. And please be sure to share the video and my channel with any friends or other people you know that might be interested in this type of content. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.